Hey guys, it's your boy Renkai. We come back with an edition of What If Deku was a reincarnation of Zoro. So, if you haven't watched What If Deku was trained like Hawks, part 1 or 2, you really should. They were fun to make, and I'm going to still go back to What If Deku was trained like Hawks after a couple parts of this one, because I got this idea when I was laying in my bed. You know those times when you're just laying in bed and you think, yeah, I just came up with the idea to do this, and it seemed pretty fun. So without further ado, let's hop right into it. Inko Midoriya was training her son, Izuku Midoriya, aka Deku as his whole family called him, on how to use a sword. Their whole family was, none of them had quirks. None of them were born with quirks, and only one or two of them have quirks because they didn't inbreed and they had, they had children with people with quirks. But Izuku took the gene of quirkless, even though his father had a quirk. So Izuku was always taught how to use a sword by his mom, and Izuku was really good at using one sword style, as he liked to call it, but he was even better at using something he called Deku's three-sword style. He loved using three-sword style. He felt as though it gave him an edge over every other swordsman or swordswoman in his family. He would always be his cousins in a sword battle, with of course wooden swords, so they wouldn't use real swords. Izuku was gifted for his 5th birthday a real katana. This katana was given by his mom as a 5-year present. Izuku could already lift it with one hand. He was just physically strong. He was really, really strong for a 5-year-old. And keep in mind, a sword, a normal katana, is like 1 or 2 pounds. So most 5-year-olds can't even lift that. You have to, well, 5-year-olds can lift it, but with 2 hands. Izuku could lift it with 1. So Izuku, he tried to get other swords from his mom. Every year his mom would give him another sword, so he could learn to use a real sword for 1 sword style, and eventually 2 sword style, and his favorite style, 3 sword style. So during every year, he would do the same regimen of training. He would get a rock, tie it to a piece of wood, and bite on the piece of wood, moving his jaw up and down to strengthen his jaw. And he also lifted, weights and stuff so he could, carry the sword better. And he also trained with dummies, like hay dummies, and attacking them, and how he could kill a villain with 1 attack. He knew how to fully decapitate it by the age of 6, and he knew how to use different moves on it. Like his favorite one, Deku's X marks the spot attack. Basically, he makes an X with the 2 swords and dashes at you, making an X through you, and you get cut into 4 pieces: your head, your 2 arms, and your torso, and the rest of your legs. And he also had another move called Deku's Wheel of Death. He would put the end of his 2 handed katanas that he holds by his hand together, and he would start spinning them, and he would dash right through you. And he would also spin sideways, and he would cut you completely in half. And because he could kill somebody, he would cut them completely in half with 2 katanas. And he also had a bunch of moves for 1 sword style. One move, he was Deku's Decapitation. He would have another one, Deku's Chop. He basically could chop all your limbs. He could cut all your limbs in a couple attacks, because he was just fast with 1 hand. And he had one move. It's 2 sword style X Killer. He would make an X with the 2 swords and like kind of throw his body forward and cut you into 4 pieces like he does with Deku's 3 sword style X, but even better because he only has 2 swords. He also had some attacks for his blade in his mouth. One was Deku's mouth cut. He could cut you with his blade in his mouth and make a pretty decent sized cut. Not the same size as he would make with his hand, but somewhat enough to kill somebody. And he also had Deku's mouth block. He could block almost every attack from every angle with his mouth blade, and then he could attack you with his other 2 blades. So he was basically a master in the way of the 3 sword style and 1 sword and 2 sword style by the age of 8. Izuku never met Katsuki Bakugo, and he was homeschooled by his mom. one day, since he's around 10 years old, his mom decides to bring him to the real world so he can meet other kids around his age, because the only kids he knew around his age were his family members. And they were all almost like him. They all knew how to use swords, but he was way too strong for his, his cousins, and he could be his mom already because his three sword style was completely overpowered, and his mom only knew one sword style. Don't get me wrong, she was really good, but Izuku's he's like really, really strong. He's a prodigy. So Izuku and his mom go to the city, and Izuku, he just walks up to this Katsuki Bakugo guy, this kid that he saw have explosions with his hands. His mom taught him what a quirk is and how he doesn't have a quirk. So Izuku he has an explosion quirk. That's cool. So he walks over to the guy with this kid with his three swords on his waist and says, "Hey, what's your name?" The kid says, "None of your business." Izuku's like, "Hey, why are you so mean? I just asked you what's your name." Bakugo says, "Oh, I would never give a lowlife like you. Why do you carry around three katanas? You don't have a quirk or something?" Izuku's like, "Yeah, I don't have a quirk." Bakugo says, "Oh, so you're a weakling." Izuku's like, "No, I'm not a weakling. I could kill you." Bakugo says, "Huh, you think you could? You idiot." He would try to attack Izuku with an explosion, but Izuku would jump back and pull out one of his katanas and put it to Bakugo's neck. He would say Deku's decapitation, one sword style decapitation, but he wouldn't decapitate Bakugo. And Izuku said, "You see, I could have just killed you right here. But since you're just being mean and you're just immature, I won't kill you," and push his sword away. Bakugo's like, "Huh, you just got lucky there." Izuku says, "Okay, you're annoying, bye." And he walks away. Bakugo says, "Don't you call me annoying," and almost try to attack him, but Izuku just dodges the explosion and just kicks him in the face and walks away. Bakugo's mom sees the whole conversation between Bakugo and Izuku and gets mad at Bakugo for being so mean, and all he was trying to do was make friends with Bakugo, and that's what he gets. He deserves to get kicked in the face once in a while. So Izuku just says hi to a bunch of kids his age, and everyone likes him. Everyone thinks he's pretty cool. So every day he would go back to the city to talk to his friends, and so one day on a Friday, he saw a villain robbing a bank and running away in a car. Izuku, seeing this, automatically just instincts, pull out one sword, put it in his mouth, pull out his other ones, and does Deku's three sword style X marks the spot, and dash at the vehicle, cutting it into three pieces, not killing any of the bank robbers. And he would pull the bank robbers, a katana to their necks, and he would say, "Drop the money." And they would all toss the money towards the cops, and the cops would arrest all of them. Izuku would put all his swords back and bow to the police officers, and the police officer says, "Damn, kid, you're really good with the sword." Izuku says, "Oh yeah, my mom taught me. Bye, I must leave now." And he walks away and goes back to his house. He tells his mom what he did, and Inko says, "Oh, okay, you're just like your grandpa. He's like, he was a hero too, but he had a quirk. But he sadly died in the field." Izuku says, "Oh, can I be a hero just like Grandpa?" Inko says, "Yeah, I'll train you even harder, even though my training won't do anything, but I'll teach you the ways of, to get you stronger, some ancient ways that our family had, and I'll make you stronger for the UA entrance exam." Izuku's like, "What's UA?" Inko says, "Oh, it's just a really good school for kids that want to become heroes." Izuku's like, "Oh, so I'm gonna go there?" Inko says, "Oh yeah, but I have to train you up first." So keep in mind, this is when Izuku was like 10 years old, and he trains 3 years learning how to use the demon aura that Zoro has. So Izuku, he also learned how to use Armament Hockey, because keep in mind, the One Piece, the whole Great Pirate era was in the past, and Inko on one of these days explains the story of the Great Pirate era and what happened to Devil Fruits and the starter of their family. So she says there was this great boy named Monkey D. Luffy. He ate this fruit called the Gum Gum fruit, and it gave him the ability to change time and reality, because in disguise, the gum gum fruit was actually the human fruit model Nika. Um, and she says how he could change reality. He was Joy Boy, as he was called. And he decided to destroy all devil fruits because he felt that all they did was cause havoc and destroy the world. He took away his own devil fruit because he felt it was unfair, so everyone could be free, and he was a master of all forms. He could use this thing called armament hockey, the thing I taught you how to use with your katanas. He also could use observation hockey, and he could also use conqueror's hockey. Monkey D. Luffy had a second-hand man named Zoro. He was called Pirate Hunter Zoro. Pirate Hunter Zoro. He's your great grandpa. He's the person that started our family. He was the three sword style master. That's why you know how to use three sword style. You got it from him. You got his information on how to use three sword style from him. So you're almost like his reincarnation. So his was like, oh, so that's why I know how to use three sword style, like off rip. She says, yeah, exactly. He was a master of Conqueror's Hockey, and how almost 1 in a million people have Conqueror's Hockey, and you most likely have it, but I don't know how to. I don't have it, and I don't know anybody that had it, and I don't know how to use it. I don't even know what it is. The only information that we have on it is that you could knock people out when you're using it, but we don't know if it's an attack or it's just an aura. So Inko says, well, maybe when you become a hero, you'll maybe unlock it. So Inko, this was when Izuku was like 13. So this was like 3 months before the entrance exam, and Inko says, well, I can't train you anymore, kid, because you're stronger than me. You know how to use hockey and the demon aura that we all have. So the only thing that I could teach you is how to be a good human and how to be nicer. But she also says that there's no point in teaching you how to be nice because you're already a good kid. And you're smart too. Well, maybe I could teach you more on math and stuff like that, so you could pass the written portion of the UA entrance exam. And for the next 3 months, Izuku was trying his hardest to learn to use Conqueror's Hockey. And one of these times, he almost used it. He was almost about to use it, but his mom called him in to get some food. So he never knew that he was close, but he felt some power coming out of him, and his will coming out. So, yeah. So Izuku, on the day of the entrance exam, he goes to the UA building, and it's like a mile away. So Izuku decides to use his demon aura, and he jumps over a bunch of buildings, from going building for building to get to the UA building. So he makes it there, and everyone's staring at him, and they're confused how come he's allowed to use to bring katanas. And Izuku had a piece of paper allowing him to use katanas because they made up a lie that was his quirk, and they allow him to use his quirk called hockey. And yeah, so Izuku's fake quirk is hockey. So that's his quirk. Everyone thinks his quirk is hockey, but we know that's not his quirk. He doesn't have a quirk. And the reason he's allowed to use his swords is because that allows him to use his hockey better. So when Izuku's taking the written portion of the exam, he passes it 100. He gets 100 on it. The reason he got 100 is because his mom was a genius and Izuku was a genius. The only problem he had was his sense of direction. He always had terrible sense of direction. He always needed a map to know where he was going. But good thing, since we have high technology, Izuku's mom downloaded an app on Izuku's phone that he could put 2 points, and it would give him it would teach him how to get there. And every couple 30 seconds, it would tell him if he's going the wrong way. So Izuku would hardly get lost because of technology. But sometimes when he doesn't have his phone on him, he gets lost. But he always finds his way back home because his senses. So Izuku, when he's taking the entrance exam, before the test begun, he put his sword in his mouth, pulled out 2 swords, and everybody backed away from him because they didn't want to touch the swords by accident. So Present Mike starts the test. Izuku uses his demon aura and jumps over the gate before the gate fully opened, and he starts running. Out of nowhere, Tenya Ida dashes past Izuku, and Izuku says this as a challenge, and he starts going even faster, outrunning Tenya. Tenya Ida. Ida's confused and like, does he have a speed quirk? What the hell's going on? And then he sees Izuku use some purple aura on one of his katanas and just one shot a 3-point robot. And Izuku goes around for all of the tests doing this. And he destroys around like 40 3-point robots, like 20 2-point robots, and like 10 1-point robots. So Izuku has like a total score of like 60, and that's pretty good. He's passing right now. Then he sees a 0-point robot, right? And he sees all the students running away from it. So Izuku uses his armament hockey and does his X marks the spot 3-sword style, Deku's 3-sword style X marks the spots with his demon aura and his armament hockey, jumps towards the 0-point robot and slices right through it, destroying the 0-point robot and saving Uraraka. Deku didn't know he saved Uraraka. He just wanted to kill the 0-point robot, thinking it was like 20 points, because he wasn't paying attention during the explanation. He just destroyed a bunch of robots, and that's all he knew how to do, just destroy robots so he could pass. So Uraraka gives Izuku like 60 points because she had like a bunch. So he was like 100 points and minus 60. She had enough to pass. So Izuku has like points of like 120 and he passes. So Izuku got the top score because he got his own 60 points plus the points Uraraka gave him. And Izuku passes with the highest score in that year of people taking the test. So a week later, the school sends a bird to the Midoriya house because it was in the mountains. That's where they train, because they don't like society and they think the quirk thing is just, too much havoc for them. So they decided to live in the mountains. So, yeah. So, Izuku, he gets permitted to go to UA, and on his first day of UA, he walks to the UA building, and he's sitting in his class with his 2 katanas, and he's making up moves and thinking of ways he could somehow unlock his Conqueror's Hockey, because the only thing he knows is knocking out people. So in class, he's thinking of a new move, and he's thinking of calling it Deku's spinning death. So basically, he's gonna spin with his 2 swords and make like a tornado with his armament hockey and his demon aura, and make like he could like suck you in with the tornado, and he was able to slash you when you're in the tornado. So that's why he calls it Deku's spinning like vortex. He changed the name and says Deku's spinning vortex. So when he's in class, Uraraka sits next to him, and they start talking, and they don't see Aizawa come into the room, and Aizawa tells everyone to stop talking because they were talking too much. And Aizawa says they're gonna be, instead of going to the assembly, they're gonna be taking a physical test so they know how strong they are. So the class goes to the locker room as a class, and they go into their gym uniforms. Izuku, he's allowed to have his katanas, but he won't need them for this test because he'll just destroy everything he uses his katanas. So he says he's gonna use his armament hockey with his demon aura to pass the test. So since he got the highest points above Bakugo, by like a couple points, he's able to demonstrate each test and go first. So the first test is the ball throwing test. Deku is given a ball by Aizawa. He uses armament hockey and his demon aura and throws the ball with his full strength, going, as people say, plus ultra. Izuku doesn't know where plus ultra came from. All he knows is like this guy named All Might, like a top hero. That's like his catchphrase. So he's like, oh, I might as well say it. So he throws the ball with his demon aura and his hockey, and he gets around a score of like 500 kilometers. Izuku gets second because Uraraka beat him by infinity, because that's what she got. She got infinity because she put 0 gravity on it and just tapped it forward, and it kept going around the earth forever and ever. Bakugo gets third because he got around 400 kilometers. So yeah, Deku gets second, pretty decent. The next part is 40-yard dash. Deku just uses demon aura and dashes forward, getting first place, beating Ida by 0.2 seconds because Deku just basically teleported away, and he beat him by, actually no, 1 second, because Ida got like 1.2 seconds and Izuku took 0.2 seconds. So, Izuku wins. The next part is a leap test. Izuku uses his demon aura and just completely jumps over the whole thing, getting first place. No, actually fourth place because Bakugo did the same thing, but he did it he did it way longer because he just kept flying in the air. So Izuku gets second place behind Bakugo and in front of Todoroki because Todoroki got third place because he just launched himself with the ice. The next part is a group test. Izuku gets first place because he uses his hockey and just completely broke the machine. So they said he gets 1,000. Everybody else got around like 90 or 900. Yeah, just behind Izuku. Izuku beat them by almost like a landslide. So without further ado, this one might end it. Hope you guys liked it. Bye.